Good evening, everyone. We live in a world where presence is powerful, where being seen, being heard, being felt is everything. But let me tell you a little secret. Sometimes your absence speaks louder than your presence ever could. We've been taught to hold on, to chase, to prove ourselves. But have you ever stopped to think about what happens when you step back? When you let people feel the space you once occupied? That's where the magic is. You see, you don't need to remind anyone of your worth. You don't need to beg for time, for love, for validation. You just need to be so undeniably you that when you walk away, the silence you leave behind is deafening. Let them miss you. Let them wonder where you are, what you're doing, who you're becoming. Let them sit with the absence of your energy and realize maybe they took it for granted. Maybe they should have paid more attention. Because the truth is, you don't grow by holding on. You grow by choosing yourself over and over again. And when you do that, when you step back, something incredible happens. Those who truly value you will find their way back. And those who don't, well, they were never meant to stay. So don't waste your energy proving your worth. Be so confident, so radiant, so full of life that your absence becomes the loudest presence in the room. Thank you. Presence is powerful, but absence speaks louder. In a world that constantly demands us to show up, to be seen, to make noise, we often forget the strength that lies in stepping back. We chase validation, attention, and recognition, believing that our presence is the only way to make an impact. But what if I told you that sometimes the loudest statement you can make is by simply removing yourself? Think about the moments in your life when you truly realized someone's importance. Was it when they were always there, available at every moment? Or was it when they were gone, when you felt the emptiness, the shift, the undeniable weight of their absence? That's because we as humans often take what's constant for granted. The more present something is, the more familiar it becomes, and familiarity breeds complacency. It's only when something disappears that we begin to truly recognize its value. This applies to relationships, friendships, workplaces, and even personal growth. We often overextend ourselves, thinking that the more we give, the more we'll be appreciated. We pour our energy into people, situations, and places that may not always reciprocate in the way we deserve. But here's the truth. When you are always available, you risk being overlooked. When you are always saying yes, people assume they will never have to hear no. But the moment you choose to step back, to prioritize yourself, to create a void where you once stood, that's when people notice. That's when they feel the weight of what they lost. Absence is not about playing games or manipulating emotions. It's about teaching people to value you by showing them what life is like without your presence. It's about understanding that your energy is precious and not everyone deserves unlimited access to it. When you remove yourself from situations that don't serve you, from people who don't appreciate you, from spaces where you are merely tolerated and not celebrated, you are sending a message, one that speaks volumes without a single word. The world has conditioned us to believe that if we are not present, we are forgotten. But the reality is, true impact is not measured by how often you are seen, but by how deeply you are felt. The people who truly care about you will feel your absence like a missing piece of a puzzle. They will realize that your energy, your kindness, your presence was never something to be taken for granted. And those who don't, they were never meant to hold space for you in the first place. So, don't be afraid to step back. Don't be afraid to create distance where it is needed. Don't be afraid to let them miss you, because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is not to show up, but to walk away and let your absence speak for itself. You don't need to chase love, validation, or attention. The world often makes us believe that our worth is tied to how much we are desired, how many people notice us, and how loudly others sing our praises. From a young age, we are conditioned to seek approval, to be liked, to be chosen, to be wanted. We learn to measure our self-worth through the eyes of others, constantly adjusting ourselves to fit expectations, to be more appealing, to gain the love and recognition we crave. But the moment you start chasing, you are giving your power away. Love, validation, and attention, these are not things you should have to run after. What is meant for you will never require you to beg for it. True love in any form will find you in your most natural state. It will not ask you to shrink yourself, to dim your light, or to become someone you are not. It will recognize you as you are, in your rawest, most unfiltered version. If you have to chase it, then it was never truly meant for you. Seeking validation from others is like drinking from an empty cup. No matter how much you try to fill yourself up with external praise, it will never be enough. The world's opinions change like the wind, and if you build your sense of self on the unstable foundation of others' approval, you will always be at their mercy. Today they may celebrate you, tomorrow they may forget you. If your confidence is tied to their applause, what happens when the clapping stops? You must learn to validate yourself, to recognize your own worth without needing a crowd to confirm it. Attention is fleeting, but self-respect is forever. In a world driven by social media and constant comparison, it's easy to believe that the more visible you are, the more valuable you become. But true worth isn't found in likes, followers, or how many people are watching. It's found in the quiet moments when no one is looking, when you are left with only yourself. Do you love who you are when there's no audience? Do you believe in your own value when no one is there to confirm it for you? That is the real test of self-worth. When you stop chasing, you start attracting. When you no longer beg for attention, people notice your presence even more. When you validate yourself, you no longer depend on the approval of others to feel whole. And when you choose to love yourself fully, you set the standard for how others should love you too. You don't need to run after anyone or anything. Love, validation, and attention that are truly meant for you will meet you where you are, without you having to lose yourself in the process. Step back and let people realize the space you once occupied. We often believe that to be valued, we must always be present, always giving, always proving our worth. We think that if we stay, if we hold on a little longer, if we give a little more, people will finally see us, appreciate us, and treat us the way we deserve. But the truth is, presence alone doesn't always create appreciation. Sometimes it is in our absence that people truly understand what we brought into their lives. There is a difference between being needed and being taken for granted. When you are always available, always the first to reach out, always the one making the effort, people begin to assume that you always will be. They stop noticing the little things you do because they have never had to go without them. They get comfortable, not out of malice, but simply because human nature is like that. We often don't realize the value of something until it's no longer within reach. Stepping back doesn't mean you are bitter or resentful. It means you respect yourself enough to know when to stop pouring into people who are not pouring back into you. It means giving others the chance to feel your absence, to sit in the quiet and realize that something is missing. The calls you always made, the texts you always sent, the support you always gave. When you pull back, when you stop filling in the gaps, that's when people notice. They begin to wonder why the energy has shifted, why their world feels a little emptier, why the warmth they once felt is no longer there. And in that realization, they come to understand just how much space you occupied in their lives. Some will reach out, some will try to fix what they once ignored, and others will simply let you go. But that is the beauty of stepping back. It reveals who truly values you. Those who care will feel the void and make the effort to bring you back into their lives in the right way. Those who don't will let the silence settle, showing you that they never truly appreciated your presence in the first place. Either way, you win. There is strength in knowing when to walk away, in choosing yourself when others fail to. You don't have to beg for a place in anyone's life. Your presence should be a privilege, not an expectation. And if someone only realizes your worth when you are no longer around, then perhaps they needed the lesson more than you needed their attention. Stepping back is not about proving a point. It's about finding peace, about reclaiming your energy, and about allowing the right people to step forward and show you that they see you, that they value you, and that your presence was never something to be taken lightly. You grow by choosing yourself, not by holding on. We are often taught that strength is an endurance, that love, friendships, and even opportunities should be fought for, no matter how exhausting the battle becomes. We hold on, believing that if we just give a little more, if we just endure a little longer, things will change, people will appreciate us, and circumstances will align in our favor. But the truth is, growth doesn't always happen in the holding on. More often, it happens in the letting go. There is power in choosing yourself, in understanding that you do not have to stay in spaces that drain you, that you do not have to hold on to people who make you feel unseen, and that you do not have to settle for situations that stunt your evolution. Growth requires movement, and sometimes That movement is stepping away from what no longer serves you. It is easy to convince yourself that comfort is better than change, but true growth is uncomfortable. It demands that you put yourself first, that you walk away from things that no longer align with your path, and that you trust in the unknown more than you trust in the familiar pain of staying the same. Choosing yourself means recognizing that your worth is not determined by how much you endure, but by how much you are willing to prioritize your own happiness and peace. It means understanding that not all relationships are meant to last forever, that not every opportunity is meant to be yours, and that sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself is to release what is weighing you down. It is not selfish to put yourself first. It is necessary. The people who truly care about you, the opportunities that are truly aligned with you, and the life you are meant to live will not require you to sacrifice your well-being just to hold on. Growth happens when you choose to walk away from what no longer nourishes your soul. It happens when you stop begging for love, respect, or recognition and instead redirect that energy toward building yourself. When you finally choose yourself, you start to see life differently. You become lighter, more at peace, more in tune with your own needs and desires. You stop looking for validation from others because you realize that your own approval is the only one that truly matters. Letting go is not a sign of weakness. It is a declaration of strength. It is saying, I refuse to stay where I am not valued. I refuse to hold on to something that is not growing with me. I refuse to put others above myself at the cost of my own happiness. The moment you make that choice, the moment you choose yourself over what is holding you back, you begin to transform. You grow into the person you were always meant to be, not because you held on, but because you finally had the courage to let go. Those who value you will return. Those who don't were never meant to stay. Life has a way of revealing the truth about people, not through their words, but through their actions. We often spend so much time chasing, proving, and holding on to people who make little to no effort to meet us halfway. We convince ourselves that if we just try harder, if we just give a little more, they will see our worth and stay. But real connections don't work that way. The ones who truly value you will not need convincing. They will not need reminders of your importance. They will know, and they will show it, not just when you are near, but especially when you step away. It is human nature to take things for granted. When someone is always there, always giving, always available, it becomes easy to assume they always will be. But when you pull back, when you stop initiating, when you stop filling the gaps, that is when people's true feelings reveal themselves. Those who genuinely care will feel the shift. They will notice the space you once filled, and they will come back, not because they have to, but because they want to. They will return, not out of obligation, but because they recognize your presence as something meaningful, something they do not want to lose. On the other hand, those who do not truly value you will let you go without a second thought. They will not fight for you. They will not try to bridge the distance. And as painful as that realization may be, it is also a blessing. It saves you from investing more time, energy, and emotion into people who were never meant to walk your journey with you. It teaches you that love, respect, and appreciation should be mutual, not one-sided. When someone chooses not to return, it does not mean you were not enough. It does not mean you lacked anything. It simply means that their role in your life has ended. Not every person you meet is meant to stay forever, and that is okay. Some people are lessons, some are temporary companions, and only a few are truly meant to be part of your story in the long run. The ones who are will always find their way back, no matter the distance, no matter the time apart. They will make the effort because losing you is not something they're willing to accept. The key is to stop trying to hold on to people who are not holding on to you. Stop begging for love, attention, or loyalty. Step back and allow people to show you who they truly are. If they return, welcome them with open arms. If they don't, let them go with grace. Either way, you win, because those who are meant to be in your life will always find their way back, and those who don't were never truly meant to stay. Be so radiant that your absence is felt more than your presence. There's something extraordinary about the way energy works. When you are truly yourself, unapologetically and fully, your presence lights up any room you enter. It's not about grand gestures or forcing yourself to be seen. It's about being so confident in who you are that you don't need to scream for attention. Your energy alone is enough to capture hearts and minds. But what's even more powerful than that is when you have the strength to step back, to let go, and to let people feel the weight of your absence. When you shine brightly, when you embrace your own worth and walk in your truth, you leave an impression that lasts long after you've gone. Your energy doesn't just fade away when you leave a room, it lingers, almost like a memory people can't shake off. That is the kind of presence you should aim for, the kind that doesn't need to demand to be noticed, but naturally commands attention. People should remember you not because you were always in their face, but because of the way you made them feel when you were around. And when you step away, they should feel the void you've left. That's the true mark of someone who is radiant, not in how often they show up, but in how much they are missed when they don't. This kind of radiance comes from deep within. It's not about trying to be someone else or fitting into a mold of what others expect you to be. It's about knowing yourself, understanding your value, and holding yourself with grace. When you operate from a place of self-love and self-respect, you don't have to chase after people or constantly prove your worth. Your presence will speak for itself. Your absence, too, will speak volumes because people will feel the energy you brought into their lives, the kindness, the warmth, the positivity, the strength. Those things don't just disappear when you step back. They echo in the spaces you've left behind. The truth is, sometimes we stay in situations too long because we think we need to prove ourselves. We think that being always available, always present, always there is the way to show our value. But there is power in choosing when to step away. Sometimes you need to give others the opportunity to miss you, to realize the impact you had in their lives, to understand what your absence means. When you allow people to feel that void, they're reminded of your worth in a way that is more profound than any words could express. Be the kind of person whose energy is so powerful that even when you're not around, people are thinking of you. Be the kind of presence that doesn't need to be constant to be felt. When you can leave a lasting impression without trying, that is when you know you are truly radiant. And when you do step back, when you allow others to experience your absence, you give them the chance to appreciate you in a way they never could when you were always around. Your absence will be a reminder of how important you truly are, more so than any constant presence could ever achieve.